Shalom, brothers and sisters. This is YAH'S Ben Israel, and this is going to be my first video on the elders. And I'm going to make 2 videos on the elders. And I'm making this video first because the elders actually have a lot of power within our culture. Within our law. A lot of power. But and so I'm gonna make 2 videos for those elders who I like to call them. And don't anybody take this the wrong way. It's just the truth. The big-headed elders. You know the ones I'm talking about. You know who I'm talking about. You know who will just listen to something like this and then just, oh, we got power. But they won't listen to the whole thing. And you all are gonna understand what I mean. And I'm probably gonna repeat this as I continue making this video. So yeah, this is gonna be about the elders part 1. And as a matter of fact, I decided I'm just going to name this the elders in the law. I got pink eye, so I got my contacts out and put my glasses on here. Well, I'm not going to read yet. Here's how I'm going to start this video off. So you all can kind of wrap your mind around what's going on here with our elders. I had a grandmother, and she's passed now, but when she got to a certain age where she didn't get around as much, she had a sofa that was right by her window. And she used to be able to look out that window and look up and down the street and see just about everything that was going on up and down the street. And she used to be able to look at her TV at the same time, you know, look at the window, look at her TV. And you know, as I've gotten older, of course, I recognize that she may not have known everything that was going on up and down the street, you know, known the details, but she had a pretty good idea. She saw when the police were getting called out at certain people's houses. She saw certain people's children coming home at 10 o'clock in the morning after the parents left, hanging out outside up at the top of the hill or whatever. She saw certain people coming, being at home, and other people coming over there who probably had no business being over there. She saw people out there in the front yard fighting. She saw all that stuff now because it was like a long street. So anything that was going on in that street, she saw it because she used to sit right there. Do her thing, look at her TV, look right out that window. So she saw what was going on basically on that street. Now there used to be a TV show called 227, and there was an old lady on that TV show, Pearl. And Pearl used to do the same thing. Pearl used to sit, this was the city too now, so there's a lot going on. Pearl used to sit right there in her window, just like this, and she watching everything going on up and down the street, right? She's seeing everything that I just named. Everybody drama, everybody good times, everything. She's they're watching it. And even today in the Hebrew Israelite communities, the elders usually know what's going on because they heard of it. Somebody talked. That doesn't mean, and I'm going to make this clear now, that doesn't mean that they get in other people's business. And as I go into this video, you'll understand where I'm coming from with that. But they usually know what's going on. They've heard of it. Somebody told them, you know, the word got out, and that's the men and the women too. And it's important that I state that. Also, it's important to recognize that our elders are like sheriffs in the law. When I say sheriffs, I mean like the sheriff. You know how the sheriff, you got to look at the old movies. The sheriff can walk into the whorehouse, walk past all the prostitutes. They're like, hey, sheriff, how you doing? Go back there to the person who running it, talk to them what they need to talk to them about, walk back out again. And they're like, all right, sheriff, see you later. Or the sheriff could walk up to the person who he know they doing some dirt because he heard of them. That's just part of the sheriff's job. And it used to be like this when I was younger in the county I grew up in. The sheriff knew what everybody was doing pretty much. He heard of them. You know, and they knew him and he knew of them. And you need to understand too that sheriffs don't make moves on people sometimes because they just don't have the resources. They have other priorities, things that are much more important. And what's important too, before I start getting into the law, there was a TV show called The Andy Griffith Show. And there was an episode where Andy had arrested somebody, a lady, for speeding. And she said, oh, this is a speed trap. And she refused to pay the ticket. She wanted to talk to the judge. It got to the point they went argue, but they argued back and forth. She said, I want to talk to the judge. Andy picked up his name tablet. They had sheriff on, turned it around, and had judge on the other side of it. So I'm saying that too to help you wrap your mind around the fact that when we read the law and we're talking about the elders in the law, we're talking about people who are professionals. We're talking about people who actually know what they're doing. We're talking about people who actually have training. And it's important I say that because these days you got elders doing all type of things and they have no training to do it, no expertise, no nothing. And it's their buddies usually getting involved in this different stuff when they talk dealing with different things. So you're going to understand what I mean when I start reading these laws. But the first one I'm going to read is, let's see here, Deuteronomy 19 and 11 through 13. It's Deuteronomy 19, 11 through 13. Let's see here. And it says, but if any man hate his neighbor. No, I'm not going to read that one first. I'm going to read Deuteronomy 21, 1 through 9 first. So I can go ahead and establish what it is I need to establish here. There we go. Yeah, 21 and 1 through 9. Deuteronomy 21 and 1 through 9. So I can establish everything that I just finished talking about. So you can get an idea, get an excellent idea early on what the elders actually do. If one be found slain in the land which the Lord thy God giveth thee to possess it, lying in the field, and it be not known who hath slain him. Verse 2, then thy elders and thy judges shall come forth, and they shall measure unto the cities which are round about him that is slain. And it shall be that the city which is next unto the slain man, even the elders of that city shall take an heifer which hath not been wrought with, and which hath not drawn in the yoke. And the elders of that city shall bring down the heifer unto a rough valley, which is neither eared nor sown, and shall strike off the heifer's neck there in the valley. And the priests, the sons of Levi, shall come near, for them the Lord thy God hath chosen to minister unto him, and to bless in the name of the Lord. And by their word shall every controversy and every stroke be tried. And the elders of that city that are next unto the slain man shall wash their hands over the heifer that is beheaded in the valley. And they shall answer and say, our hands have not shed this blood, neither have our eyes seen it. Be merciful, O Lord, unto thy people Israel, which thou hast redeemed, and lay not innocent blood unto thy people of Israel's charge, and the blood shall be forgiven them. So shalt thou put away the guilt of innocent blood from among you, when thou shalt do that which is right in the sight of the Lord. Now, also the elders are witnesses a lot of times, and I'm not going to read those scriptures where they basically serve as witnesses. You know, I'm going to focus on the law. And what I'm going to go back to is verse 5. And it says, and the priests, the sons of Levi, shall come near, and for them the Lord thy God hath chosen to minister unto him, and to bless in the name of the Lord. And by their word shall every controversy and every stroke be tried. Now, I just finished talking about how the elders know what's going on. So that's what you got going on right there. The elders are doing what we call today a thorough investigation. They're supposed to do one. And the priest, Levi, comes in and makes sure that they have done a thorough investigation. And if you keep reading later on, make sure they had nothing to do with what happened. Now, as I've already said this, we're talking about people who are professionals. We're talking about people who know how to interrogate people here. You know, like in today's world where they take classes on interrogation, like in today's world where they take classes on doing proper investigations. And I'm saying that because in the Hebrew Israelite community, usually the people who do this is somebody's buddy. You know, some brother's buddy, especially. And as I continue to read these laws regarding the elders and what they do, you're going to see that they're mostly domestic issues, which is why it's important that a good investigation is done, because in domestic issues, we all know people start stretching the truth. Husband's story is kind of off. Wife's story kind of off. They bring the children in, have the children's story kind of off. The woman's daddy and mama's story is off. The man's daddy and mama's story is off. Everybody's all over the place in these domestic issues, because that's what they are, domestic issues. But I'm going to go ahead and read. So I just want to establish here that they're supposed to be doing a proper investigation now. Because a lot of people think things just supposed to get rubber stamped. But that's not the case at all. And that was, like I said, Deuteronomy chapter 21, verse 1. And that's through 9. Now I'm going to go ahead and go to Deuteronomy verse 21, and that's 18 through 21. And it says, if a man have a stubborn and rebellious son, which will not obey the voice of his father or the voice of his mother, and that when they have chastened him, will not hearken unto them, then shall his father and his mother lay hold on him and bring him out unto the elders of his city and unto the gate of his place. And they shall say unto the elders of this city, our son is stubborn and rebellious. He will not obey our voice. He is a glutton and a drunkard. And all the men of his city shall stone him with stones, that he die. So that shalt thou put evil away from among you, and all Israel shall hear and fear. Now, I've already talked about this in the previous video. And what I talked about in that video was the fact that, first of all, this is not something that happens overnight. Those of us who have been drunken and disobedient sons like me, you're going to see that sheriff, and you're going to see that judge. You're going to see them. It's going to happen. So they already got a little file on you. You know, you end up seeing a sheriff, you end up seeing a judge, you get your sentence, you do your sentence. A year later, who knows? 2 years later, you're right back down there in front of them. So they know of you. And in that video, I talked about how 90% of the time it's the mother and the father that's causing the problem, the adults around them that's causing the problems. And that's why, again, it's important that there's a thorough investigation done, even in this situation right here. That's right. See, this stuff is not getting rubber stamped, because even the elders know that are doing this, and even today they know that 90% of the time it's the environment that child was raised in that's causing the problem. So when that mother and that father, and think about this, what mother and father would do something like that in their right minds? Instead of getting them out the land or, doing other things that mother and fathers usually do to protect their children. What mother and father in their right mind would grab their son and bring him in front of the elders and say, we want our son stoned? So you know what that does? That opens them up for like it's supposed to be a proper investigation to find out what's really going on. Yeah. And I'm going to go into this now too, because there's a father involved in this. Because then, like I said before, a lot of times these days when stuff like this happen, it's somebody buddy who has no investigation skills or no skills in whatsoever, interrogation skills, no nothing. It's somebody's buddy that get involved in this, stuff like this. And I'm going to get into the wife too in the next scripture. And so they use a rubber stamp what their buddy thinks. Wrong. Your buddy is supposed to be priest of his household. He's the one that's supposed to be managing the emotions in that household. So the buck stops and starts with that buddy. I'm not going to get bent out of shape. I'm going to do that in number 2. Now, that was Deuteronomy 21, 18 through 21. Deuteronomy 22, 13 through 21. If any man take a wife and go in unto her and hate her, and give occasions of speech against her, and bring up an evil name upon her, and say, I took this woman, and when I came to her, I found her not a maid. Then shall the father of the damsel and her mother take and bring forth the tokens of the damsel's virginity unto the elders of the city in the gate. And the damsel's father shall say unto the elders, I gave my daughter unto this man to wife, and he hateth her. And lo, he hath given occasions of speech against her, saying, I found not thy daughter a maid. And yet these are the tokens of my daughter's virginity, and they shall spread the cloth before the elders of the city. Verse 18, and the elders of that city shall take that man and chastise him. And they shall immerse him in 100 shekels of silver, and give them unto the father of the damsel, because he hath brought up an evil name upon a virgin of Israel. And she shall be his wife. He may not put her away all his days. Verse 20, but if this thing be true, and the tokens of virginity be found for the damsel, then they shall bring out the damsel to the door of her father's house, and the men of her city shall stone her with stones that she die, because she hath wrought folly in Israel to play the whore in her father's house. So shalt thou put evil away from among you. Now, I talked about this already too. And I talked about the fact that, again, we get into family issues, we get into domestic issues. He say, she say, what's really going on. Before she gets married, because there is no set punishment for playing the whore in the household, she can confess and get covered. She might get a punishment, but it ain't going to be death. So if this situation comes up, a whole lot of things have broken down. The mother and the father didn't do what they were supposed to be doing. The husband didn't do what he was supposed to be doing. And something had to be mentally unstable with that daughter for her to put herself in that position where her husband has that much power to pull her in front of the elders and say she wasn't a virgin. So any thought that this was supposed to get rubber stamped again, think again. Any thought that anybody wouldn't look at a husband who's supposed to be loving his wife and now he hates his wife to the point where he's willing to do that, anybody that rubber stamp that, think again. See, because we run into these situations and not look at the mother and the father too and wonder what was going on in their brain cells when this got to this point. Think again. That's why I'm glad those elders can do investigations. And not only that, but usually if things have gotten to this point, the police have been called, somebody fighting, something going on, something jumping off. Because there's no statute of limitations on that. You don't have to do it on the first night, on that wedding night. You can do it later on. You pull that mess. Something has broken down completely. And it goes back to what I just said too. If he's supposed to be the priest of his household, it's his job to be able to manage these situations. And usually in situations like this, what happens in the Hebrew Israelite community is there are counselors that get involved. And 9 out of 10 times, it's just like when people get involved with doing interrogations in the Hebrew Israelite community now and investigations, the Negro has no experience. He has no idea what the heck he's doing when it comes to counseling a married couple. None whatsoever. It's not a professional. It's somebody's buddy. Usually the dude's buddy, one of his buddies. So that mess that goes down now, because nobody's getting killed, but that mess that goes down now in the Hebrew Israelite community gets rubber stamped. And the dude who's supposed to be the priest of his household, he has no real, responsibility. He couldn't control those spirits in his household. He was too much of a punk, I guess is what it was. So his actions get rubber stamped. The sisters get thrown out into the streets somewhere. Because there's no real investigation. In a situation like this, something went seriously wrong. Something went seriously wrong. And we have laws against verbal abuse and physical abuse. We have laws against that. And emotional abuse. I already uploaded the video. So that's why it's important to have people who in this situation are actually trained to do what they do. Who are impartial. Who are professional. Who have put in some time and some energy to get that profession down pack and to learn it. That's why you see that the priest can have power over them too when he show up and make sure that they did what they were supposed to do, like I read in the previous scripture. And I'm saying all this too because I'm talking about elders right now. And a lot of the elders in the Hebrew Israelite community, like I said at the beginning of this video, had a fat head syndrome. And most of them, to put it bluntly too, really have a bad habit of when they don't like these laws, statutes, commandments, and judgments, throw them into the garbage can. So I hope nobody takes offense to what I'm saying and why I'm saying it and how I'm saying it. But I'm going to say it the way that it needs to be said. Now, that was Deuteronomy chapter 22, 13 through 21. Another, again, domestic issue where you got the husband, you got the wife, you got the mama, the daddy, you got everybody in there with a different story probably. Who knows what the story might be. Now I'm going to go ahead to Deuteronomy 19, 11 through 13. Those situations where you'll see the elders getting involved. It's Deuteronomy 19, 11 through 13. But if any man hate his neighbor and lie in wait for him and rise up against him and smite him mortally that he die and fleeth into one of these cities, and he's talking about the Levitical cities here, then the elders of his city shall send and fetch him thence and deliver him into the hand of the avenger of blood that he may die. Thine eye shall not pity him, but thou shalt put away the guilt of innocent blood from Israel, that it may go well with thee. So, you got somebody, he may have committed premeditated murder. The elders do what they're supposed to do a proper investigation, do a proper interrogation, and if it's found that he did commit what we call today premeditated murder, then that brother gets slain. It's just that simple. You know, and again, obviously this stuff is not being just rubber stamped. And it's a good thing too that you have the Levites and the priests who in these situations that tells you who oversees them. You know, and making sure that they would do what they're supposed to be doing. And I'm going to keep repeating this too, that these are professionals. See? These are people who go to school to learn this stuff. These are people who have rules and regulations and guidelines on how they do these things. This ain't nobody buddy. Now, Deuteronomy 25 and 5 through 10. If brethren dwell together and one of them die and have no child, the wife of the dead shall not marry without unto a stranger. Her husband's brother shall go in unto her and take her to him to wife and perform the duty of an husband's brother unto her. And it shall be that the firstborn which she beareth, verse 6, shall succeed in the name of his brother which is dead, that his name be not put out of Israel. And if the man like not to take his brother's wife, then let his brother's wife go up to the gate unto the elders and say, my husband's brother refuses to raise up unto his brother a name in Israel, he will not perform the duty of my husband's brother. Then the elders of his city shall call him and spake unto him, and if he stand to it and say, I like not to take her, then shall his brother's wife come unto him in the presence of the elders and loose his shoe from off his foot, and spit in his face, and shall answer and say, so shall it be done unto that man that will not build up his brother's house. Verse 10, and his name shall be called in Israel, the house of him that hath his shoe loose. Okay, again. And y'all gonna hear me say this again. An investigation, find out what's going on, who, what, why, when, and where, and let the elders get their recommendation from them. Now, the elders do have a lot of power within the Hebrew Israelite culture. And like I said, most of the other time the elders have talked about they are witnesses to different things. They serve as witnesses. They serve as witnesses when we get the law. They serve as witnesses when we deal with angels. They serve as witnesses for a lot of different things. And I'm just not going to read those things because they really don't have to do with the specific application of law, which is what I focus on my videos on purpose. But I'm going to say it one more time. And then I'm going to put on a part 2 for those elders who are going to ignore what I've said multiple times in this video. These are elders who are professionals. These are elders who are trained. These are elders who do this full time. This is what they do. They're part of an organization, just like you have your sheriff's organizations and stuff like that. That's who these brothers are. And maybe sisters, I don't know. I'm sure there's some argument about that one. But that's who these people are. This is not anybody's buddy. And that goes for doing these counseling too. And I'm going to really get into that in the next video. This ain't somebody's buddy. This ain't your homeboy. This is somebody that's supposed to be impartial. This is somebody that's supposed to be trained to do these things. And really it's amazing how when people don't recognize that and don't put that into practice, that how disrespectful you really being to your Creator. I hope you all got something out of this video. I hope you all understood this video. Again, for the widows out there who catch a lot of this mess too right here. And the orphans out there, thank you for looking out for them and thinking about them. You know, part of our future as a people. Since everybody think that just their babies gonna be running around in them cities. They birth babies. And you forget all about them babies sitting over there on the continent waiting for a mom and a daddy. You know, I always kind of try to put that out there. Hope y'all got something out of this, and shalom.